and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. India starts exporting COVID-19 vaccines after its successful immunization launch at home. Sindhis hold anti-Pakistan demonstrations with pictures of world leaders, demand freedom from clutches of Islamabad. And Sikh devotees mark birth anniversary of spiritual leader with prayers. Let's begin the show with India, which has started a multi-nation vaccine export program in its neighborhood. Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh and the Maldives have already received the first shipment. Others are waiting for regulatory clearances and will be getting the vaccine soon. While New Delhi has rolled out world's biggest immunization program, it says it will help even the poorest of nations in accessing the vaccine and carrying out inoculation.
In just 5 days into the launch of world's biggest immunization program, India dispatched 150,000 COVID-19 vaccines to its neighbor and perennial ally Bhutan. 5 more countries, including the Maldives, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar and Seychelles, received hundreds of thousands of shots in following 2 days. Many low and middle income countries are relying on India, the world's biggest vaccine maker, for supplies to start COVID-19 immunization programs and bring an end to their outbreaks. The vaccine development in India, popularly known as the pharmacy of the world, was being observed closely ever since the outbreak spread out of its origins in China and snowballed into one of the deadliest pandemics the world has witnessed. While its small neighbors are expected to immunize their countries entirely with the help of Indian manufacturing capacity, others are looking to procure a major chunk of their requirements from New Delhi.
नेपाल को धरती में भ्याक्सिन उतार्न सफल भयो। यसको लागि म भारत सरकार, प्रधानमन्त्री माननीय नरेन्द्र मोदीज्यू र भारतीय जनतालाई नेपाल सरकारको तर्फबाट, हाम्रा प्रधानमन्त्री सम्माननीय केपी शर्मा ओलीजीको तर्फबाट र नेपाली जनताको तर्फबाट म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु।
India has been instrumental in the global fight against the coronavirus. To say it has done the most won't be an overstatement. From hydroxychloroquine to diagnostic kits, India supplied everything that countries fell short of in fighting the pandemic. Earlier in the month, India authorized 2 locally manufactured vaccines for emergency use at home. One licensed from Oxford University and AstraZeneca, and another developed at home by Bharat Biotech in partnership with the state-run Indian Council of Medical Research. Both the vaccines have thus far been proven safe, as barring a handful who developed minor side effects only to subside on their own after a few hours, the results have been encouraging. The government has reported hospitalization from side effects in only 0.002% of vaccine recipients.
कोविड के टीकाकरण से संबंधित 447 AFIs रिपोर्ट हुई हैं और उनमें से केवल 3 को अस्पताल में भर्ती कराना पड़ा और उन 3 में से भी एक जो नॉर्दर्न रेलवे हॉस्पिटल दिल्ली में भर्ती हुए थे उन्हें डिस्चार्ज किया जा चुका है। इसी प्रकार दूसरे जो हमारे एम्स दिल्ली में भर्ती हुए थे उन्हें भी डिस्चार्ज किया जा चुका है और एक जो तीसरे एम्स ऋषिकेश में हैं वो हैं अस्पताल में और उनकी स्थिति अच्छी है, बेहतर है।
At least 2 other vaccines are expected to be authorized by India in the next few months. Meanwhile, the country will also be making commercial exports to Brazil and Morocco. India, which supplies around 1.5 billion vaccines doses to 150 countries around the world every year, is also considering using its robust logistic net to deliver the vaccines in all corners of the world. The plan is to not just save Indians but the entire humanity. Indian vaccines not requiring a severely low temperature for storage has also made many countries turn towards India. As per reports, India might receive dozens of international orders in coming weeks. observers believe it's an opportunity to expand its soft power considerably. However, New Delhi has shown it time and again that it doesn't commit to earn brownie points or strategic favors. New Delhi's endeavors are always in the interest of human development and global prosperity.
Moving on, the Sindhi ethnic community in Pakistan has intensified its demands of freedom from the clutches of Islamabad. In a unique demonstration organized on the 117th birth anniversary of G.M. Said, the father of Sindhi nationalism, they flashed placards of the world leaders who they have urged to come to their rescue. Sindhis say Pakistan has been carrying out systematic human rights violations, economic depredations and an everyday discrimination in the region.
Streets of Sun, a small village in Pakistan's Sindh province, were swept by anti-establishment demonstrations as a large number of them gathered to demand independence. In the first of its kind demonstration, the protesters held banners of US President Joe Biden, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, British PM Boris Johnson, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and other renowned leaders of the world, asking them to intervene in the rapidly deteriorating human rights situation in Sindh. Sindhis accuse Pakistan of persecuting them, with their land and resources being exploited indiscriminately and their culture enduring a state-backed ethnic cleansing attempt.
हमारा ये मौक़िफ़ रहा है तारीख़ी तौर पर कि सिंधु देश सिंधी कौम का तारीख़ी वतन है, जिसको पाकिस्तान के नाम पर, पंजाब के मज़हब के नाम पर, नफसियाती हुर्बे और पंजाबी फ़ौज की बंदूक के ज़ोर पर जबरन ग़ुलाम किया गया है। सिंध सिंधियों का तारीख़ी वतन रहा है। सिंधी हम तारीख़ी तौर पर एक कौम है जिस कौम को 1947 में बंदूक और मजहबी हरबे के बुनियाद पर पंजाबी साम्राज्य ने गुलाम बनाया हुआ है।
The Sindh population, which comprises mainly of minorities and muhajirs, say that Pakistan administration does not consider them at par with the other citizens of the country. While Punjabis are treated as elites in all domains of the society, they face acute discrimination and marginalization. Their demands for rights are suppressed through one or the other means. Reasonable voices of their movement have been muzzled with high-handedness. The government has launched a crackdown against everyone it deems potent of rising for freedom. A number of them have been picked and detained indefinitely without trial. The family members have no idea where their close ones are. While the government refrains from providing any real data of those who have been abducted and killed, even a quick peek into the social media accounts of Sindhis speaks everything about the atrocities these people are bearing on everyday basis.
Situation in Sindh is getting day by day worse and worse because we suffer from slavery, and Pakistani occupied forces are making this slavery strong, and suppression is every day is going on. Huge numbers of people have disappeared, political activists, human rights activists, human rights defenders, journalists, everybody is target. Whoever they feel that is a dissent, they don't agree with their ideology, they are under attack, they are disappeared, and people have been harassed every day. I don't think so a single political activist or a single family in Sindh which is spared from this harassment from the Pakistani agencies.
Activists have started calling it an international issue because they say it's not just Pakistan that is bent at destroying their lives and livelihood, but China too is a major stakeholder in crimes against them. China has invested around $70 billion in Pakistan and now influences almost every domestic and external policy of the country. After Balochistan and illegally occupied POK and Gilgit-Baltistan, it is after Sindh for its strategic advancements. Islamabad has been obliging its orders. Critics say Beijing's wishes have been fulfilled promptly. Despite strong opposition, two islands, Bandal and Baddo, were taken under Pakistan's control through an ordnance route. The alacrity was shown because China needs it for its CPEC corridor. As per the terms, even the judiciary cannot interfere. Objections have been dismissed or suppressed. Local leaders say this is the beginning of their end. Pakistan will sell everything in Sindh to China, and the residents will not have many options except migrating to even more hostile places or perish in abject poverty and deprivation.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch. Trash collected from Mount Everest is said to be transformed into art and displayed in the nearby gallery to highlight the need to save the world's tallest mountain from turning into a dumping site. Used oxygen bottles, store tents, ropes, broken ladders, cans and plastic wrappers discarded by climbers and trekkers litter the 8,848.86 meter tall peak and the surrounding areas. Tommy Gustafsson, project director and a co-founder of the Sagar Matha Next Center, a visitors information center and waste upcycling facility, has said foreign and local artists will be engaged in creating artwork from waste materials and train locals to turn trash into treasures. The center is located at an altitude of 3,780 meters at Siangboche on the main trail to Everest Base Camp, 2 days walk from Lukla, the gateway to the mountain. It is due for a soft opening for locals in the spring as the number of visitors could be limited this year due to coronavirus pandemic restrictions. Products and artwork will be displayed to raise environmental awareness and sold as souvenirs, with proceeds going to conservation of the region. Everest was first climbed by New Zealanders Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing Norgay in 1953. Nearly 4,000 people have since made 6,553 ascents from the Nepalese side of the mountain, which can also be climbed from the Tibetan side in China. Devices designed for improving customer marketing and sports performance are now being used in the fight against COVID-19 as companies deploy their technologies to meet new needs during the pandemic. The annual Wearable Expo in Tokyo showcased a wearable heart sensor which could potentially be used as a monitoring device for COVID-19 patients at quarantine hotels. The sensor, made by company Union Tool, can remotely monitor a person's heart rate and temperature and is now used for managing people's health and collecting biometric data for sports and exercise. Hitachi LG Data Storage originally developed its 3D LiDAR people counter sensor for retail stores to track shoppers' movements and analyze data in order to improve sales and customer satisfaction, but demand has been rising since the pandemic started. The company, a joint venture between Japan's Hitachi and South Korea's LG Electronics, has now paired the application with the heat detection and camera app that takes customers' temperatures and checks if they are wearing a mask. The technology monitors the number of people and their movements to reduce congestion, and it estimates wait times at cash registers to help reduce infection risks. The ski venue of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics in Chongli, North China's Hebei province, is ready to welcome both athletes and ice snow sports enthusiasts as the 2022 Winter Olympics approaches. Chongli, a popular skiing destination situated 200 kilometers northwest of Beijing, will be the site for the freestyle skiing and snowboard competitions in 2022 Winter Olympic Games. During his inspection in January 2017, Chinese President Xi Jinping said Chongli shall not be built into a metropolis that is both sprawling and encompassing, but should focus on becoming a ski resort. The president emphasized that construction projects should not be extravagant, with their follow-up use taken into consideration. China's Olympic bid includes a pledge to encourage 300 million people to take part in winter sports ahead of the 2022 Games. She also emphasized public participation in winter sports when he saw a group of little ice hockey and skating fans. POK and Gilgit-Baltistan are two most deprived territories on the planet. They are being exploited and marginalized. Human rights violations have been normalized by the state. However, the people say they are not ready to endure it anymore. Recently, they took on the police and retaliated with force after the law enforcement agencies charged their anti-inflation demonstration with batons and tear gas shells.
Clashes between the civilians and police broke out in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir after a protest against rising inflation turned violent following the arrest of the local leaders. The protest was organized by the Action Committee in Rawalakot against the removal of subsidy on wheat flour. However, the police arrested local leaders before the planned protest, which triggered anger among the residents. The angry protesters clashed with the police and set ablaze a police station and destroyed police vehicles in the Azad Patan area. Police carried out firing, baton-charged protesters, injuring several of them.
जो गिरफ्तारियां हुई हैं जिस पर शीर साहब ने तफसीलन बात रख दी है, हम समझते वो एक हथकंडा है इंतजामिया की तरफ से। वो ये हथकंडा है कि हमारी तहरीक को पुरशद्दत करने की एक साजिश है, जो कि हम बार बार कह रहे कि ये तहरीक पुरअमन तहरीक है, वो इंसानी बुनियादी मसाइल पर बनने वाली तहरीक है, वो आटे के उसूल के लिए तहरीक है, वो महंगाई बेरोजगारी के खिलाफ तहरीक है, वो तालीम के उसूल के लिए तहरीक है। तो बाबा आप देख सकते हैं कि ये इंतजामिया, ये रियासत आए दिन जो भी बुनियादी इंसानी हुकूक की लड़ाई लड़ रहा है, उस पर तरह तरह के फतवे दे रहे और शद्दत और जबर कर रहे। हम मजम्मत करते हैं आज के जो हमारे दोस्त एक्शन कमेटी रावलाकोट के जो दोस्त जो अनाउंसमेंट कर रहे थे, कल के हवाले से तहशीर कर रहे थे, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि उनका क्या गुनाह है।
जो हमारे दोस्त लोगों को थ्रू अनाउंसमेंट कल के प्रोग्राम के हवाले से कल की प्रोग्राम की तहशीर कर रहे थे, इंतजामिया की तरफ से ओछे अटकड्डे जो इंतजामिया और हुक्मरान इस्तेमाल करते आए हैं, उन्होंने शुरू कर दिए और हमारे दोस्तों को रावलाकोट के अंदर गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया। हम इस प्रोटेस्ट के मसादत से हुकूमती इस अमल को भरपूर मजम्मत करते हैं और उनको मुतलबे करते हैं कि अगर उनको फिलफौर रिहा न किया गया तो कल का होने वाला प्रोग्राम हो सकता है कि पुंछ के अंदर और पुंछ डिवीजन के अंदर आज ही शुरू हो जाए।
Locals claim that this is a regular feature in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and the Pakistan government abused them at the pretext of security. The law enforcement agencies have been carrying out atrocities with impunity. People have become saturated with widespread discrimination and persecution. Their living standards too have deteriorated significantly with time. There have been protests for the past several weeks against skyrocketing inflation, but the local government and Islamabad are paying no heed to their concerns.
Festivals in India are at the heart of people's lives. This in itself showcases the glory of celebrations in the country. It has given birth to an ethos where people come together and celebrate every festival with much zeal and vigour. Similar scenes were witnessed during the 354th anniversary of the 10th and the last spiritual leader of Sikhism, Guru Gobind Singh, which was celebrated with great fervour and splendour in the country. Let's have a look.
A large number of Sikh devotees from across the Indian states visited the holiest Sikh shrine, the Golden Temple, in India's Amritsar city to mark the 354th birth anniversary of the 10th and the last spiritual leader of Sikhism, Guru Gobind Singh. The Guru's birth anniversary, also known as Guru Parv, is celebrated every year as an occasion to remember the brave deeds of Guru Gobind Singh, who organized Sikhs to protect the community's beliefs in the 17th century during the Mughal rule. Devotees participated in the religious procession Nagar Kirtan, which was marked by carrying of the holy book Guru Granth Sahib in a decorated floral palanquin. The Gurudwara donned a festive look both from inside and outside, where devotees were seen offering special prayers, seeking blessings and recollecting the teachings of the Guru.
ਬਹੁਤ ਦੂਰੋਂ ਜੀ ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਵਿਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਨਗਰ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਆਨੰਦ ਮਾਣ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜੀ। ਕੱਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੱਲ ਰਾਤ ਹਰਮੰਦਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੀਪਮਾਲਾ ਅਤੇ ਅਸ਼ਟਪਦੀ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਜੀ।
The scene was no different at Bihar's capital Patna, where Patna Sahib Gurudwara was illuminated with beautiful lights. Patna Sahib Gurudwara, which is believed to be the birthplace of Sikh Guru, saw a crowd of thousands of people who came from different Indian states to be a part of this grand celebration of Prakash Utsav.
देश विदेश से हजारों की संख्या में यहाँ पर दर्शनार्थी आ रहे हैं, लेकिन सरकार द्वारा जो कोरोना को लेकर दिशा निर्देश दी गई है उसको पालन करते हुए गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी इस आयोजन में लगे हुए हैं और जो भी यात्रियाँ हैं उनकी ठहरने की, लंगर का, यातायात का बहुत अच्छा प्रबंध किया गया है।
Each year, the festival is marked with large processions, devotional songs, devotees performing martial arts and lights, and a joy, which is why the festival is also known as Prakash Parv. The holy occasion was wrapped up with colorful and sparkling multicolored light of fireworks.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.